how to make a hollow bud vase. Would you pass that down, please? And I plan on taking it this far. Pass it down, please. So, I think all of you got a 4-page explanation, and I was asking Bev if she would read some of this stuff, so.
I did. I left it this one. I didn't get a copy.
All right. So for the first thing, these should be quarter sawed wood. Now, for the newbies that don't know what quarter sawed wood is, if you take a tree and you cut it like a pizza, 4 slices, that's quarter sawing. What happens is the wood shrinks 3 different directions, 3 different rates. And this pretty well cancels each other out. So if you use quarter sawed on things like goblets and these, it pretty well stays round. So for the first thing for this size I put on here, let's cut the blank to 10 inches minimum. This one I think is 11 inches, so we have a little playtime on the end. The next one is turn the blank with good tenons on each end. And to make good tenons, it's important. I have a little gauge that I slide over it, and if it just passes over this, it'll work in both my Vic Mark and my Cheapy. I also have it the right width, so when I put it on here, it will show the proper length of it. If it's too long and it butts up against the back of your chuck, you're going to have troubles. So always leave a little visual gap in there. I have a set of gaps too. I put those in there sometimes if I'm really in doubt. But if you're too long, sand it down on the end. All right, step number 4 is mark the narrowest end, top, and the widest end, bottom. Top, bottom. Then mark, later we want to put this together. We're going to take it apart. So I put a mark here and one on the back side. So later we can reassemble it and the wood will look like nobody screwed with it. The first step is mark 1.75 inches up from the base. So let me chuck this up. By the way, I always put a piece of tape here, and then I put my mark on that tape, so if I have to reassemble it, it's in the same position.
Sometimes the jaws are slightly off, and when you put it back in the same place every time, you'll have less wobble.
So to put it in, push it from the middle so it sits flat in the chuck. And I'm going to loosen this and then retighten it. 6 times. 2. 3. Now I start cheating. 4. 5. 6. And it's not moving. So we're solid. Tailstop should be up against it. Make sure this is tight, and it's good to tighten this in case so it doesn't start loosening. Okay. Yeah, what's number 7?
Number 7 is start shaping the vase. So the fattest area should be about 50% of the distance up from the marked line.
All right, to save a few minutes on that, stopped out and borrowed 3 of these from Ron so I can get the right distance without having to measure it. And I like working metric for this because if you have to go in 60%, that's what this one is, 60% of 5 9/16, you know, geez. So
Just divide it by 10 and
Lost my helmet. There it is.
Do you want me to read everything of number 7 or just one at a time?
Yeah, just talk.
Okay. I'm good at talking. Okay. Width, now David, width of the bottom area at the marked line should be approximately 60% of the fattest area. The thinnest area in the neck should be 1.25 to 1.5 inches. The mouth width maximum should be 60% to 80% of the fattest area. Throat or the drilled later should be about 3/4 inches to 1/4 inch in diameter, and the undercut chin slightly.
You like chocolate chip or raisins and buttons?
You know, if somebody happened to walk in and didn't know what we were talking about, this is really exciting.
Boy, you're smart. This is a Mensa meeting.
I didn't sound like I knew what I was talking about.
All right, I'm 1.5 inches from the end.
Yeah, 1.5 inches from
From
the
the
thinnest
bottom.
area of the neck, right? 1.25 to 1.5 at the thinnest area in the neck.
I had a marking pen in my pocket when I left the house.
Do you need a marker? A pen or something?
We got uglies here. All right, now you guys can talk to yourselves.
Or what, yeah, or read ahead.
I mean, not the camera, I mean
Video.
the video.
That's not from this.
All right. Now, I propose turning like this so most of you can see.
Oh,
I do not like standing behind and turning like this because nobody sees anything. So if you want me to rotate it, yell out. Now about halfway up from the marked line, I want the fattest portion. So, yes, I want a marking pen if you guys want.
It's just a regular pen, is that all right?
No.
I didn't,
Here.
I don't have a pencil.
here.
Good.
I had an orange marker.
Okay. I've set pre-measured at 50% of the diameter.
Fire's back.
And now I'm going to start working down in here. So I don't want this to get deeper than 60%. If you don't have a good base on it, there really isn't enough area there to glue. So Hand me that vase, so the unfinished one. Give me an idea what I'm supposed to be doing. Pre-marked to 60%, and that's just about there. Now we'll start working up in the neck area.
This is mahogany. The NAB plastic.
All right, now I've worked on pretty well shaping the body down here, and
Ready? We'll stop the conversation while he's talking, please.
and up here I've taken the neck down somewhat. I don't want to take it down to that inch or inch and a half because it might twist off if I'm doing some serious work down here. What's the next step?
So the next step is using a parting tool, cut 1 3/4 inch line. Cut to 1/2 inch thickness of the vessel. Wood carvers call this a stop line. Do not cut all the way through.
All right, that's what I did here.
Oh, you did it already?
Next step?
Using your choice of favorite turning tool, remove wood in a convex shape from your upper shoulder through the fattest area to stop line.
All right, I did that. I moved it in a convex shape from the stop line up to the fattest point. Next.
Okay. Coarse sand the bottom from mid-shoulder to stop line.
What?
It says coarse sand bottom from mid-shoulder to stop line. Step two.
Yes, mother.
Step two.
Hey, you asked her to talk.
I'm reading what you wrote. You can skip that part if you want, but.
All right, I just like to kiss it with a little sandpaper, make sure that
Got it.
the shape is right.
Okay, and the next is finish cutting off the base at the 1 3/4 stop cut line.
Okay.
Steak cut piece to be used for a bottom plug.
All right, folks.
Okay? You watching?
Yeah.
Everybody watching? You need to stop the
Hold
camera.
on, folks. Time. All right, I've got it this far. I'm going to take a little bit off this base because it's much too thick, and then I'm going to cut through and drop off this piece and save it for later. Now you can finish.
Okay.
carving tool with a brown handle in there. Would you bring that out?
Sure. Can you put this,
Marvin, finish that up. Does
No,
anybody
no,
wanna
I
do
just want to get it
demo
out of
of
the picture. It's-
Oh, okay.
Looking for volunteers.
For what?
We said while you're finishing,
I'm off my medication. I'm heavily medicated most of the time, and I did not take any volunteers.
Now I have it down to a narrow neck, and I want to cut it off. And would you hand me that Japanese saw down there? On the...
Could you show us on your other piece there, Marvin, that other piece where you're cutting?
Right where the black line is.
Right there, oh, okay.
Right on that black line.
You're cutting it all the way off.
Cutting it off. Thank you. All right, I like cutting it off with a Japanese saw, and you have to relieve the pressure on it here. Japanese saw is thin and it cuts on the pull, not the push. And that's that. Now I've got a flat end on it, and I'm going to go in with an 1.5 inch spade bit. I won't need that tonight.
so you're gonna drill a hole in the center of the bottom using an 1.5 inch spade bit. That should be to the fattest area.
Forstner bit, anything, Marvin, or you just like the spade?
I like this one much better than the Forstner or the twist bits. So I look, how far do I want to go?
You wanna go into the fattest area. Doesn't really
Yep.
say how far.
All right, and I'm going to put a guide on here a little bit before the end of the bit. Where's my angle iron?
Blackmail.
What are you looking for,
I wanted my wrench.
Fit on the floor, right below?
No,
That's,
we're gonna have to get the air compressor here. All right, I must have put it away. It's not like me. Yes.
So why do you like a spade bit better than a Forstner or a twist drill?
It doesn't get very hot. I can easily sharpen it with a file, and it cleans itself out. I don't have to pull it out every 6 turns and clean it out. It's a much better deal for me.
I can get the filing to sharpen it is the better way, but if you don't think that thing doesn't get hot, that sucker gets hot.
Well, this'll probably turn it a little bit, but I have taken a Forstner bit and it caught on fire on the inside. I pulled it out and here are red coals. So those get hot too, especially if they aren't too sharp.
Slow, yeah. Just a note to anybody that's in the shop and using the shop tool, we have a new extension of 2
This has only 1 inch of travel, so it's going to be stopped a few times. Now you can see on here the red ring, that's driving the moisture out of it.
You can see steam or something coming up out of it too. Oh, good. Steam coming out.
So while we're still watching this demos, is there anything anybody would like to see as a demo? That may be helpful in planning for who we ask
There's going to be another 5 minutes of this, so if you got something to discuss, now's a good time.
We are.
Anybody got any good political jokes? Ooh.
No, but we don't want
Don't get Jerry started. Steve doesn't want me as a partner if we haven't had a first name. I pressed it, I moved it. Yeah, I think we would probably do Yeah, that's a road scholar. He was just looking at Wonders demo.
Oh, that's awful. Oh, that's awful.
Hello?
Is the depth just a convenient depth, or is it,
Well,
is it a
you want,
ratio or something that?
no, do you want to build a solid thing? You don't have to do this. But I try and hollow everything I can. So I bring it in up to about the shoulder and let about a 1/4 inch walls on it.
Wendy, you're new. Do you have anything you want for future things or you want to learn? That's why we're here.
I think it'd be great to learn different ways to use tools.
Problem I have with this machine is this tail stock does not lock solid.
No, it's free.
It creeps. And on mine in the house it creeps too, so I put a second wedge back there to stop it. That's what this thing needs too. Afraid I'm going to twist it off.
That doesn't jam up in there.
Pardon me?
Sawdust in there doesn't jam up?
No. I'm almost, I got about a 1/4 inch more to go. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
6 millimeters.
All right, what's next, Marvin?
You tell me.
Start hollowing, cut until outside walls are about 1/4 inch thick. Walls at the shoulder and bottom of the base should be a 1/2 inch thick.
Everybody got that?
Half inch thick.
Half inch.
Do you have to follow more?
No, I'm done hollowing. There's my pen.
Yeah, mine, yeah. Oh, you got the den. Remember we got the den? I get back then.
Jack, would you hold this for me? Just about like that.
Is that your design?
That machine is, that tool is from Crabtree. And originally it had on here a little spring so you could gauge how thick it was. And I threw that away and just made an L shape and put a spy camera up there. So I'm going to mark where this is.
And the key to that, right, when I was using a dry eraser, not a Sharpie.
Yeah. Okay, now, just hold it there. Now I cut myself a 1/4 inch thick piece of wood, and I'm going to go in here, and with your other hand, tilt it a little straighter for me. Other straighter. About like that. All right, now roll it around a little bit. No, that way.
This way?
Yes. Continue.
Clever. So you don't.
All right, now I've got something about a 1/4 inch thick.
So you did an eyeball with your 6 millimeter eyes. Scope.
Sometime back, Ron Ron Purcell was bitching about something. He says it's a 10 millimeter away or something. And I said, you know, I'm glad you started going metric.
That's an insult.
All right, now, why don't you pull this out a little bit? And we can see where that's at. So back to dangerous spinning.
Got the speed right?
Cutting yet?
Yeah, but it's not cutting. And I just sharpened it before the meeting. I'll try it a little more pressure on it. Let me try this one. I haven't hooked the camera on this, but this is, what's his name, Robert Sorby's tool. Now we can see the green line on the left side is right about the wall. Jim, would you connect the air compressor hose for me?
The hose, air compressor.
Just the hose.
I guess Jim thought you needed to check that thickness there, Mark.
Did what?
Thought you needed to check the thickness. I guess that's what he did in California.
Oh, yeah, just set it down over here. Let's not even plug it in. I think there's enough air in there. Yeah, I'm not very deep yet.
Good. Hopefully. All right, one more swipe going in there and then we'll call it quits. Oh, no wonder my end is loose too.
Your what?
My tool is loose, bit is loose on the end. This guy. Can you just hold that for me? That explains why I was having so much fun.
need those, put them in the box. In the- All right, that's enough of that. Sassy, where are we at?
Okay, all right, so you did the hollowing, and it said the next step is remove from the lathe and start processing the base plug as follows. Second chuck, put the base plug in the second chuck. If not, remove the base from the chuck and insert the plug. Mark, don't do that again. Come on. Mark,
Me?
don't do that again.
Do
You
what?
just blew everything over on the carpet.
Oh,
We'll just blow it off the carpet. So I just emailed texted the director, trying to see if I can get a storage space. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to make a mess the first time. Yeah, we don't want to make a mess the first time.
Blow it back under the tile where you can sweep it up.
Right.
that's a wifey thing.
Watch it.
Right?
I'll stop reading.
All right, this I want to be flat, so I take a little piece of wood, some sandpaper, and put it on there.
Wifey thing again?
Just make sure you get it right here.
Now that should be 1.5 inches. And I'm going to take this out. Better than that, I've got a second chuck I'll put in there. So this locks
Take it
up.
off, right?
Pardon me, break?
You're taking it off, right?
Yeah, I'm taking it off.
Okay.
And
And then you switch out to the plug.
I'm going to switch to the other one. I lost my tool again. My twisty, smaller one. That's too small. I don't think I put this back. All right, would you bring me the small chuck? It's up there by Jim. Exhibit A.
So what you poured out was the bottom of the vase.
Yep. That way there's room to put a lot of water in it. I lost my piece. Thank you. And we push this in from the middle, and we tighten it, and there should be an Allen wrench in there.
Okay, cut the base plug to a width slightly larger than the base of the vase.
Good one.
Next, cut a plug to a length of
2,
1/2 inch and a diameter to tight fit into the
3,
1/2 inch hole.
4, 5, 6. In my toolbox, there's a calipers in that black box.
This?
No, black box,
Oh. Dial caliper.
not quite digital.
Oh. All right. How that works.
Thank you. No, I said it's probably 1.5 inches because that was the bit I used. But we'll check it just to make sure. Oh, that's symmetric. 1.518. So the smallest calipers in there, would you hand that to me? Just,
Anybody gonna have any doodads to share
What you
tonight?
need?
yeah, there's one that's closest. Pass that half inch.
No doodads tonight?
Yeah, well, in a few minutes.
What?
You've got a doodad?
A doodad?
Doodad,
Not for
yes?
display, not for resident gallery, but for doodads. No. So doodads,
1.5.
for the new people, you want to explain what a doodad is?
Anything that,
Makes life easy.
yeah, that makes life easy, yeah. Anything that's either store-bought or that's used for a different application than what it was intended to.
Like a plunger used as a.
Yeah.
Yeah. A plunger with a vacuum truck, yeah.
You can bring your proton beam retractor.
Oh, I have one of these.
Yeah.
In case you don't want to use an offset.
Move the plug in, we're gonna stop with this and then do this.
So the doodad that Marv brought in is to take a straight drill and convert it into an offset. A lot of people use the offset drills with their sanding pads on, and to get into tighter spots and so forth. So they make an attachment that goes to your drill that will get you an offset.
When you do side grain bolts, you are supposed to sand with the grain. Well, that's going all over the place. Anybody that's done the live edge knows you're going to have two spots that are terrible. With stopping the lathe and getting in with this, you can sand with the grain.
Where do you get that?
Harbor Freight has them.
Harbor Freight, Lowe's, Amazon.
Different design, different quality.
Getting close.
Mark, we've got 25 minutes left, so.
All right, this is the,
So now you're at the next step, which is prepare the board. The base body should be returned to the lathe, and the plug shall be ready for inserting in the hole.
Yep.
Tailstock shall be ready to clamp assembly for glue cure. Gorilla, CA glue, or tight bond?
tight bond. What's that?
We know, Mark, just get over that, come on.
So glue, okay, glue plug-in base using Gorilla Glue, CA glue, or tight bond glue in that order of
All right, tell you what, I'm going to go in with CA glue and put this in there, and it's not quite tight enough, but what I'm going to do is I'll spray this side with the accelerator and this part of the plug with the glue, push them together, and tighten them up in the lathe. So why don't you have either a show and tell or a break or whatever Bud says, or both.
Jim, do we need a break?
A break? Yeah, sure, tell us. Do you think we need a break, or we had a break?
My opinion on this is, I like to have the show and tell first. Then during the break, people can go over there and say, how did you do this? What happened here? What's this finish? So,
Okay.
So let's do show and tell, Dave.
Mr. Piper, you're up. Still time.
Got a cure.
Okay, as I mentioned before, this piece here had gone flying on me and broke up. I like working with yellow pine because I love the I 12, and here's two of the pieces I made a while back, and I've been finishing them up. And one of the things with the grain, I don't have a good example of them, is that they, when their grain is going like this, you'll the other way you get when the grain goes this way, you get ovals. When you go this way, you get hourglasses on the bottom. These two pieces, I was experimenting with making bowls out of the 2x12 to see what they would be like. Okay. And so basically just these if you were doing like 6 inches, get nice bowls. This is out of a 3/4 sheet of wood. Not very thick. I mean, not very deep, but it works pretty good. I could have done this one better. I could have done thinner. And this was an idea where when I was turning it, I had the post too big, and I thought, hey, I'll make it into a chip plate. And I got little glass bowls that'll fit inside here. I got them at the dollar store, and this cup here was from a piece of a post that I had. And then one thing I love knots in the yellow pine. Whenever I can get them, I'll grab the knottiest piece of wood that they have. And a while back I picked up like a 12-inch by 12-inch beam, laying on the side of the road, and decided to make something from it. And this was supposed to be a vase that I had seen on in the turning magazine, where it's like those squeeze balls, fall, and then it goes to a thin thing, and they put it on an angle and hollow it out this way. And it was not, I tried to drill it, but my drill bit was too small, too dull. So I decided to give up on that. And I kind of like the shape of it, so I started turning it this way. Later, I found out that there's 2 knots there that'll be the eyes, and I'm going to carve this. Carve a face here and do something around the outside. I'm thinking of so I can do a lot with it. And of course, the reason why they were throwing it out was because it had a bunch of cracks in it. And I'll probably fill that in. Just barely shows, the pit right here, you can see light coming out of that, but not out of the crack. Thank you very much.
Is this Gary? Is this a Gary? Bud got me, lent me some dyed it a few weeks ago, and I did one thing I like, this pink color, and with a black rim, it was really cool. So today I was screwing around, I just hollowed a quick piece of a branch or something out, a little piece of mahogany, and I'm not thrilled with it, but the first time I tried to dye, I think I'm going to buy a little cheap airbrush so you can blend the colors in better. I was trying to do it with a rag.
There we go.
I don't know.
Nice fit on this side.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, the colors are neat. It's just, this didn't have much grain, so I could, take it and follow the grain, which I know, like when Ron Purcell does all his cutting through, I go, well, how'd you get those neat shapes? He just follows the grain. And, God told him what to do. He's a better guy than us. So that was the first try with a couple different colors, cheap little $2.50 things of dye at AC Moore by my house. And there's just a piece of mahogany here, but just wonderful stuff to work with and all. It's a little heavy. I wasn't going to.
I will when I do this.
It was really looking good. I made the inside just a touch larger than the outside. I'm sure you've heard things like I have, and I had it happened. That's it. All right, here we go.
With the palm tree. This is a piece of rosewood that we had. It set up as
Excuse
a
me.
cutoff.
Bud,
Yeah.
can you come around to the tree, please, around this way, because people can't see you. The tree's right there, and people here can't see you. Thank you.
So this has a little bit of butt cheeks here. They were pretty pronounced. So it was a cutoff from one of the last pieces of rosewood that just sat there and sat there and sat there, and I said, oh, I'm going to do something with it. It didn't turn out like I hoped. I thought I was going to be able to leave the butt cheeks there, but all I got was this recess in it. But that's, and this just has some friction polish on it.
Well, we got a place for you to sell it this weekend.
This is a piece of Bradford pear that I did up in North Carolina while I was up there my last visit. And I've been trying to learn more about coloring techniques and finishing techniques, and I spent probably 6 months getting prepared to start doing this. And actually, Gary got to use the dyes before I did. But this is just wiped on green artistic dye from Craft Supply. It's alcohol based, and I put a couple coats on it. I did the texturing with a Wagner 5/8 inch wheel texturing tool, and took a Tabo paint pen in black and just ran the color on that. But all of the streaking and the variation is the grain and how it took the dye. And then this piece is, again, starting to try to do the dyeing and combining some texturing. Jim really got me into the texturing after the demo we did at Flamingo Gardens last month. So this was a piece of hickory that was almost faulted to the point of I didn't think I was going to be able to get enough solid material to do anything with it. But it came out of my son's yard at the first house he had, and they're moving in July. So this came down about a year and a half ago, and we cut a couple pieces off of it, and so that's a piece of hickory, something we don't see. I mean, the figuring and the sculpting in it is pretty incredible on the top of this. And then I just used some magenta dye and the texturing tool on this. All right.
Okay. This piece of Coca-Cola I had, I finished this one yesterday. It's only 1 inch and 1/8, so big small stuff, and I use a Robert 40 texturing tool. I have a Wagner, but I like this Robert 40 better. I learned that over at Lee's. I bought one, and now Bud got one. and added something to it.
Robert.
Just make stuff out of little pieces that we also want to do with it.
These sound pretty good.
Good.
Why did you bring in that one with the stone? That was beautiful.
Talk about hanging something to it. It's a piece of mahogany. I was going to make a natural edge out of it, and the bark came off. I glued it on, came off again. Okay, that's it. So I didn't try to get the bark back on it. Then it looked like it was a pretty dull bolt, so I added the rose inch to it. So that adds to something that may not look as nice. And this is the first time I tried something like this. What I wanted to do here was someone asked me to make them a mug like a Yeti mug. And so I started off with this one, the 20 ouncer, and then as I didn't see it from the outside, but then I saw this hole in it. So I said, no, I can't make a mug out of that. So what I did was, he got me some of that, I think it's micro powder, some kind of powder dye, Hobby Lobby. So what I did with that is, first I tried it with epoxy and didn't have Gorilla Glue tape on it. So I went back to Gorilla Tape and I went back to epoxy and this powder dye. And I tell you, of course I didn't have to turn it, but I tell you, the finish is really nice and shiny for that powder. And I also put some two-step, supposedly food-safe epoxy inside of it, so you can use it as a base. So hopefully it won't leak. I didn't try it yet, but or a mug. That's it. And Marv, you want to talk about this, or you want to wait till the end?
Right now is a good time.
Okay. Talk about the jug handles up in New Jersey. Is that where you got that in?
Yeah, actually Kentucky.
Oh.
Anything north of Georgia and east of the Mississippi is New York.
And if you're in Carolina from New York, you're halfback.
This is, this piece is Royal Consiana, and it is a pain to work with. Here's the piece off the end that I have from the tenant. It's, pass it around. This will be my last one of this. All right, the handle is integral to it. And I did this with the technique of putting in the lathe, turning it by hand about 270 degrees. And over here, I had a little router, and I had that hooked onto the tool rest, and I was just able to get it in. And so only a little bit of sanding. This, of course, was a drill. And if you haven't used these, the proper way to do it is to set it on your elbow, and then you can just tip it up.
But it's heavy.
That's what you
God
put.
bless you.
Wait,
Drink
how
and
did you
show.
follow that?
Supposed to be moonshine.
I hollowed it out from the bottom. It holds a little over a gallon. And then I put a plug in the bottom. The Soma 7 cube, another bowl, and another one here. This was the tamarind that I think somebody mentioned. Ron burned up his trailer, bringing this back. So thank you, Ron. Okay.
All right, nice. This one here, this one says, the big guy. The big one. Big guy.
Everybody knows this big, I probably did it.
Can I have time? I borrowed this pen, this marker from somebody.
Roger.
Okay.
I made a couple of these, made a small one first, but I got my inspiration from Pinterest. Anybody ever go on Pinterest? Yep. So I believe it's a group of women from Pennsylvania, I forgot the city, and I went on their site, and they do everything in brown and orange. So they don't just do turning, but they did a magnificent piece that I showed you. And I tried to copy it. So they wouldn't give instructions on exactly what they did. But their bowl was called Essence of a Woman. And I thought that was such a cool name for such a cool bowl. Their bowl was a little bit more golden tone. So I went to art supply stores and I talked to their artist. And this is all painted. It looks like it's got grain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not a bit. This is mahogany, just a piece of mahogany I got from Ron. And you can see inside it's white. And I started, hollowed it, with the camera system. And then I painted the entire thing in yellow. So it's all painted yellow. And then I started other colors. So I used brown up here. And then the artist people told me, they gave me this real expensive paint called burnt orange. And they said, thin your paint, don't just put paint on it. So I've done, I had to figure out 4-to-1, 3-to-1, and some was 1-to-1. But like here, and I turned it as I painted it. And I was just using those cheap little brushes, chip brushes. And that's where you're seeing all this coming from. So the bottom and top, I've done about 8 or 10 times. But again, yellow, then I use the burnt orange, and then brown. And different levels of brown. And I did test pieces. I did a lot of test pieces before I put it on the bowl. Because I was using stain, red oak stain. But this came out pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
And,
Like Jupiter.
yeah, well, it's funny, he mentions that. Right here's a branch that was coming out, and Ron said to me, Steve, that's going to dry at a different rate. And it did, it's flat. And we tried to, I couldn't keep reducing. I mean, this thing was out to here, and I kept reducing it and reducing it and reducing it. But yet it didn't go through when you look into it. I can't put my hand in, but it grows good. It didn't go all the way through. How could a branch not go through?
So is that an oil-based or a water-based stain,
It's
or is
water,
it
it's
acrylic?
acrylic. It's acrylic paint, so it's all water.
Okay, so it's not really a stain.
But on the final piece, I thinned it. The yellow wasn't very thin, but we needed it to come through. And then the rest is just my imagination of where to put what. And then it was too dark. You see these lines? It was on the yellow. And I looked at it and I went, oh, I ruined it. So my daughter-in-law gave me some gold acrylic, shiny gold that she uses for her kids. And I went over it, and it was so thin that it just dulled it enough that it's not obtrusive. So it's acrylic paint.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Well, we got to finish, we got another part of the finishing, don't
We got a closet up there, man.
We got some small pieces over here.
Those are mine.
Oh, okay, come on. We bring them around the other side of the table. I got this, Steve, I got it.
One of these days I'll get to something bigger. This I turned about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this morning. When you're in so much pain you can't sleep, you turn. Multi-use, could be incense holder or a little flower vase. And stick on the table. My tool collection isn't the greatest. I think I paid $29 for my whole set. So my SKU is the best out of all of them. Made with a SKU. A little toothpick holder. This is number 4. Number 1, 2, and 3 were too small.
They were too big.
If I learned how to do a tenon, I'll do that out with a drill bit. One of these days I'll learn how to follow like you guys. But it's a little toothpick holder. And of course we can't forget the ladies. Hair sticks. I see that. But yeah, these are something that at a demo, 10 minutes, and they can actually walk away with something that might be fun. Again, SKU and first couple, I got carried away and they got too thin in it. Oops. But this was number 2, so it didn't come out too bad. And that was finally number 3. So, that's it.
Very nice.
Don?
It's a haircut holder.
Well, what you do is you curl your hair up on a
I know,
bun.
but I mean, your Oh, yes.
Yeah, really. Oh, God.
Part of what I do is trying to make things a little bit easier. This is the same chuck that's being used out there. What's the name of that? Vic Mark 4. And I got myself a 10-meter wrench, and this makes life so much easier when I tighten things than going with that other one.
Well, I heard I think someone said last time that they're designed for a certain amount of pressure,
That's right.
and you always need more.
Yeah, that's right. So, anyway, and this is another special tool I did. I measured the Vic mark and checked the depth on it, and it's got also the angles of the teeth coming in. So I took and cut myself an old scrapper. A year ago, we had, 2 years ago, a lot of tools that were for sale at the meeting. And I bought a bunch of these. So I cut this the width of the pen, and I cut this at 73 degrees, the angle of the pen. So I could go right on, and I get a perfect pennant every time. And a perfect pennant is important. All right, ready on this one. Now, I usually turn with the right hand here. That's going to block everything. How should I set this up so you can see what's going on? Turn it 90 degrees more. Like this away.
People behind you can see.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. Thought it was good. All right, from last time we hollowed this out on the inside. We put a plug on the back end of it and glued it in. Now that plug should be tight fitting because you're going to have to spin it on this end. And if you don't do a nice tight one in there, it's going to wobble an awful lot. So don't be sloppy. Do it nice and tight. There was also, I noticed a little crack up here. I put some glue on it a few hours ago. So hopefully we won't have any trouble. But now I'm going to try and work this neck a little bit and see if we can get that down to about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches.
Marv, did you make that tool caddy?
Make what?
Did you make the tool caddy?
A long time ago. Wanted to check the dimension on this. Yeah, it's a little under 1.5 inches. So, in the spirit of moving along, I'll take it down a little more. This is another tool I cut up and put a little curvature in here so I can get inside the, underneath the chin of this. What was that lecture you gave us a little earlier, Lee? All right, that's about all I'm going to, oh, that would be nice to use. I'm going to start cutting off at the top. Using a parting tool. This is as much I'm going to do as right now on this. By 10 millimeter. Once more, we're clipping this end to end. This will be the mount up here.
I'm gonna hollow down the middle. This area is hollow. See, I put a big chunk out of there. So, now we'll get the test on how good that plug was. Not too bad.
Way to go, Roger.
I think it broke.
My CA glue did not hold.
The glue didn't hold.
It didn't hold.
The glue didn't hold.
Or worse. Still working. I can, I'll put quick glue on that. Opportunity.
Right there.
I hope that won't be on YouTube.
In slow-mo.
Yeah.
Kiss it for long.
This is not going to hold, so I'm going to have to call it quits for today. The remaining work was to
Finish your sentence.
yeah. Okay, let me have your attention here, guys. Got this far. I was going to drill out this and use increasingly larger drill bits until I've got it down to about 1/4 inch in here. Then I turn off the bottom, get this down at an angle that continues to slope, put on a burn line, and get rid of the tenon. And then I leave the tenon on until everything is done, all the finish, because things just go wrong, as you can see. So that's it.
I'll learn at some point.
And good to keep the sales process on, yeah.